Welcome back, folks. I've seen a lot of people moving to DaVinci Resolve recently, and a couple of my friends have also switched recently, so I figured it was the perfect time to make a little video showing how I edit my videos in Resolve. If you'd like to know how I record separately my gameplay and my webcam, let me know and I can make a new video in the future. For now, we're going to go into Resolve, make a bin for my clips, and a bin for my face cam. And I'm going to drag my clip in, and yes to changing the project frame rate. And then I'm going to drag in my facecam clip. Usually I'll have quite a few of these clips, which is why I use separate folders just to keep it organized. Now I'll usually make a bin for just the timelines. Generally when I have multiple clips in this folder and they're each a full game, I'll put each one of these on its own timeline. And then at the end, I'll make a final timeline and put each timeline on that. I usually find that to make it a little bit easier to focus on one game at a time and focus on making each section really good without trying to focus on the whole video at once. Now I'm just going to make our timeline. By the way, if you have no idea what's going on here and you've never worked with this at all, you have no idea what any of the buttons do, I recommend checking out the free Blackmagic Design training course. The intro training course will give you everything that you need to start editing and just to understand what it is that you're doing and where everything is really. Beyond that, the trainings are really good to learn new skill sets and, learn little things that the software did that you didn't know it could do. If nothing more, I very highly recommend taking the intro training course. First thing I'm going to do on this timeline is drag in my gameplay footage, and then I'm going to go to Facecam, and if you double click it, then you can go over here and grab just the video by holding this icon and dragging it in. My webcam is usually about 15 frames off. I messed up, my bad. I always forget, in 20, it doesn't automatically fill the audio channels. So when you make a new timeline, I have to say that it has 4 channels. I could have just added them down here, but I'm just gonna show you how to do it correct from the beginning. Now I can drag this in and get all of my audio channels and drag my face cam in. And this top channel right here is always everything combined. This is for if I'm streaming or if by any chance OBS messes up and doesn't get all of the audio tracks. At least I have one with everything, but I always delete that in editing. Now I can move this 15 frames forward and find where I talk. If you want to see anything in full screen, you can either hit P or you can hit Control F. I don't think there's a difference. I don't know. I usually use Control F because it's closer. Me and Juno killed each other. That was a little off. Try moving it to the left. Me and Juno killed each other? Yep, that worked. Me and Juno killed each other? I don't know why it varies, but the amount that it's off definitely seems to vary. My mic audio is usually a little bit off for some reason, so I move it a little bit earlier with the webcam. The way I just did that, by the way, I should probably go over this real quick. My keybinds, before we get started. On Q, I have the razor, so that I can just quickly slice things like that. On W, it's cut, and cut will take out the clip without ripple deleting. Ripple delete is like this, where it closes the space in between. So I can very easily just go through and cut E, or I can grab that, hit W. If you want to select just one thing instead of all of the linked clips, then hold Alt and click. So now the way I just did that is if I go here, then I can hold Alt and click on my mic, hit Q, hit W, grab both of these by holding Control, and then bring it back. So if you want to see what this looks like, my keyboard customizations, got razor here, it's under timeline, W is cut under edit, E is ripple delete under edit, and then also I do have on ASD, it's play reverse, D is play forward, and S is stop. That helps me so that I can very easily just scrub through this, forward, backward, stop. I can hold S, and then I can tap through frame by frame. Or if you tap D, and D again, and then D again, it'll go faster and faster. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy. I think I'm kind of getting over a sickness. Feels like I have a cold, but it doesn't feel like I'm sick, you know? All right, next piece of preparation, gotta grab the webcam. We gotta make it smaller. I usually go for about 0.3 and then drag it over to the side. One helpful thing, if you have two monitors, you can always go up to workspace and they have this dual screen option here so you can have more stuff on your second monitor. But the thing that I really like is video clean feed. If you choose a monitor on that, that means that that entire monitor will just be the preview window without this box on it. It'll just be that, no play bar or anything. As it says, it is a clean feed. I also like to do a little cropping on my webcam. So I'm gonna take the top down a little bit, take the left in a little bit around my mic, and to compensate, I'm just gonna move it up ever so slightly. Yeah, that looks about right. Sometimes I also like to add a little rounded effect to this. This may be a little much, but you can do it once and then not have to do it for the entire rest of the video. Make sure that you're over the webcam and then go into Fusion, click Media in 1, Control Space. Now you can type in rectangle, grab that, and it will import it as a mask. So now you can just increase the height, increase the width, and kind of find where I made this crop. Sometimes it actually does help when you do the rounded edges to just turn off cropping. And now to get the rounded effect, add a corner radius, about that much. So now when we go out here, we should see it does have that corner. On to actual editing now. For my actual editing, I like to grab all of these and link clips. That way I can go into cut. Some people don't use this. Some people have no idea what this page does. I love this page for rough cuts. Reason being, you can just play it, sit and watch. You see something that you like, you go, oh, Q, drag, Q, W. Keep on going. So I'm just going to go through and edit this. As I see things that I want to do, different effects that I want to add and stuff like that, I'll just pop back in. One thing I want to point out, if you ever want to see what just one track sounds like, if you're listening to it and there's a bunch of audio playing at once and you're like, I just want to know what I'm saying in this clip because I can't understand it, just click the little S on the track. This is on the edit page. The cut page has a mixer if you go up here too. That's another thing. If you don't see the mixer and you want to be able to adjust the levels of sounds and stuff, it's up here in the top right. The next thing I want to show is how to zoom in. I'm on this clip.
I'm glad Devo is not being helpful.
And I want to zoom in right here. So I'm going to cut that bottom clip, the actual gameplay clip, and then I'm going to walk it forward however long I want the zoom in to be. About that long. And for this clip where it's zoomed in, I'm just going to make sure my playhead is over top of it. Go up here. If you don't see this, just click Inspector, and now you can grab Zoom and just zoom it right in. Now to make this easy, we can click this box down here and click Transform, and we can just grab it and move it over. Let me make sure that that's centered for the whole clip. Yep, looks pretty good.
Not being helpful. She should.
Might extend this a little bit. If you do want to extend it, you can just grab it right here where you see this symbol and move it. And see how that.
Not being helpful. She should fade more.
I think it's just kind of weird to me going back to that. I might end up keyframing it to stay centered. Starting about right there. I'm going to click the keyframe for position. I'm going to move over 2 frames and just keyframe it again. And then move it over to the end. And we're going to make that position right here, just to kind of keep that centered. Let's see how that looks.
Helpful. She should fade more.
Yeah, that's less jarring. Second thing I wanted to do is show how I bleep things. In Resolve, they have this thing called power bins down here. So these 3 dots up here, you can click Show Power Bins. Power bins will be shared across every project that's in the same database in Project Manager, each of these databases. So all of these videos can use the stuff that's in power bins. The stuff that's in here cannot. So going back to our video here, if I go to Power Bins, and you can save stuff to this by just dragging it in here. You can even just grab a random clip and throw it in there. Maybe not that. Most things you can just drag in there. Because this is multiple clips together, I can't do that. But if I were to just grab this and throw it in there, then there it goes. And that will be available to every project in this database. So I have my sound effects here, like my program interrupt sound. And all I do, first I'm gonna make a new track. And we're going to make it mono because the sound is not stereo. And I'm going to find the cussing. I don't do this all the time, by the way. I don't even know if it actually helps videos. It feels like it adds comedy to it sometimes, so I keep doing it. And I've noticed that some of my videos where I did it did get a lot of views, and some of the videos where I didn't do it really tanked. It's not consistent enough for me to say that it's because of that, but it's enough for me to keep doing it. So I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna cut before the F and after the K. After you've done this for long enough, you can kind of see where people's syllables are. I'm just gonna W that, and let's see what it sounds like.
We get fucking killed.
Yep, that's good. So now, just click on this side, hit I. Click on this side, hit O. We're gonna double click on this, and then we're gonna come down to Audio 4 and just click right there so that you see A1. Now, if I double click the audio up here again, I can just click overwrite, and it puts it there. Let's see how it sounds.
So that we get fucking killed.
Perfect. I wanted to highlight something that I do in editing sometimes here. So right here, Mason said,
She's gonna fist fight Ryan.
but here you can see the diva for this entire clip is not anywhere near the rind. He said that about something that just happened. So to make it more relevant, what I did is I'm gonna come here. I cut after the audio, but I'm gonna come before it now. Alt click on this, Q, and I'm just gonna drag this towards the beginning. And we're gonna see what that looks like.
She's gonna fist fight Ryan.
And that's perfect because she's literally fist fighting Ryan as he's saying that. So now I can just cut this side, E, cut this side, E, and it's all good.
Hey, Diva fucking killed the soldier.
She's gonna fist fight Ryan.
That looks good. So I have an interesting idea for this part. Mason was going on a rant, so I figure it might be funny to turn it into a poem on the left side of the screen, because I still want to show the action, but like, I kind of want to just have a poem being written on the side of the screen while he's talking. So what I'm going to do is go into the edit page. I'm going to go to my text presets right here. And the way that I actually got these, I'll just show you, is text plus. Throw that on there, and I just change it to, for me, I usually like either Roboto or Russo 1. Both of these are fonts from Google Fonts, so you'll have to download them if you want them personally, but my advice, go through this and check all these out because there's a lot of cool fonts. I just like the way that Russo 1 looks. I like the kind of blockiness, but it's also kind of, you know, smooth. Anyway, I changed that, and then I changed the shading. If you go to 2, it's an outline. Enable it, change it to black, and bump the thickness up, and boom, got white text with black outline. And to save it as a text preset, you literally just take it, drop it in there. You want to change the name, you just click that, click the name, type. Easy enough. I'm gonna move it over. First thing I'm gonna do real quick is I want to anchor it to the left so that all the words come from here and move over. And then I'm gonna anchor it to the top as well. I actually might anchor it centered. So then we're gonna go to layout, move over here and up. Backspace that. If you want to kind of fade into the next word,
being a pussy,
just jumping to it, you can go to effects and then video transitions, and you can just grab this cross dissolve.
Reckon being a pussy.
So the way that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make it big, and I'm gonna find the parts of his poem.
Hi, my name is Reek Reckon. Being a pussy.
I'm gonna cut it right there for the first sentence. I am gonna make the size smaller. I might write the poem entirely first. I'm gonna have to anchor it to the left just to make sure it doesn't go off the screen. Yeah, that looks good. I think I'll keep it about right there. Then I said,
Reek Reckon. I need a bunch of abilities.
If you want to grab all of the clips to the right, you can just hold Alt and hit Y, and it will grab all of these. If you want to grab all the ones to the left, I believe it's Alt Shift Y. That is wrong. It is Alt Control Y. Ha. And that grabs all the clips to the left. Another thing that I forgot to mention, these are the timeline views, kind of like the timeline zoom modes. If you hit this one, it's everything, the entire timeline. If you hit this, it's kind of just comfortable for editing. And then this is custom. It's whatever you set on this. Sometimes I use this to get really, really close in, because this is frame by frame. When I'm editing normally, I'll stick in the middle one. So I want to preface this with just a little title card. And I want this to be kind of a fancy, that might be a little too fancy. Can you read that? Make it bigger maybe? I don't know if that's, like, I can read it obviously, but I know that there's definitely a lot of people out there who have trouble with cursive nowadays, so I want to make it look scripty, but not like actual cursive. Schools need to start teaching it again so that I can use it as a font. Oh, that is a weird one. I kind of like this one. It's like handwritten. I'm gonna cut it in the middle, cut off the by Mason part, and we're gonna dissolve to that. Cross dissolve.
Fight Ryan.
Let's see what it looks like in full screen.
Fist fight Ryan.
Doesn't look good. The way to fix this, I'm just going to cut that real quick. I'm going to take this and I'm going to switch it to vertical anchor top. So now if I move it up, start it there. That's roughly halfway. For the first one, I'm going to cut that out and let's see if it stays. Perfect. So yeah, if you make the vertical anchor the top, then it sticks to this point instead of sticking to the center, so that when the next one comes, it just all stays in place. I think a dissolve into this would be a good idea, and a dissolve out of that. Let's see how that
Fist fight Ryan.
Yeah, I like that better.
Hi, my name is Reaper. I can...
So now I'm gonna cut this at every sentence.
My name is Reaper.
Boom. For that first one, I'm going to cut all of that except for what he said.
I get this to being a pussy.
Cut that. I think that should be good. So now if I add a cross dissolve to each one, this should be a nice complete poem. All right, let's see the whole thing together.
Fist fight Ryan. Hi, my name is Reaper. I get this to being a pussy and being shit at the game. I need a bunch of abilities that let me teleport and go invisible so you can't do damage to me. I smell like shit and piss in cups and let my mom clean them. Perhaps she should have taken less Tylenol when she was pregnant.
Very happy with that. Another thing I like to do sometimes is cut to just my camera. Ryan's dead. Sen's not. I'm actually gonna cut it right there. Cut that right there. And then I'm just gonna alt click the camera. And all I have to do is click reset, and I have to turn off the fusion stuff too. So fusion, and I can just delete the rectangle. Boom. Sen's not. I don't know why that doesn't look like I'm centered. That'll work. Not. Alright, another thing I like to do is the on-screen captions. So for that, I also take my text preset, slap it down, listen to what he said.
Ryan flying away is actually...
I'll kind of do it in sections.
Ryan flying away is...
And then I'll cut it on that.
Ryan flying away.
So flying away. Cut that there. The first one should just be Ryan. Second one should be Ryan flying. Third one away. So
Ryan flying away.
That is actually. Cut the actually for the first one. Now let's see how that looks. I hope I explained this well, but yeah, basically I make a whole text thing, write all the text, and then go through and cut on the words and just cut out what shouldn't be said.
Ryan flying away is actually the best looking shit ever.
That looks right. That's how you know you need to cut a clip into the video. when you laugh while watching it. By the way, if you want to copy zoom effects from one clip to another, you can click on the clip, Control C, like copy, or you can just right click and copy. Then you can click on the other one and hit Alt V, and it will open paste attributes. You can also just right click and click, it's hard to find sometimes, paste attributes, and then you can, I usually just click all video attributes and apply, and it will apply the zoom that the other one had. And finally, when I finish the video, I always like to do my end screen. I can show you how I do that real quick. I'm going to make these a compound clip to make it easier. That way I can just grab it as one clip. And then I'm going to go to intro, outro in my power bins and grab my outro, the background. Let me just grab this as a video. I've been using a different audio. I'll put that underneath. Scroll up and put the game border on top, and you get this. And I just have to, I'll show you how I do that in a second, but you get the idea. May add the music. I'm actually going to put this on its own track. What do you mean game found?
I'll sign my own deal. I see London,
Okay, that was weird. And if you want to control the volume at different times, when you see these two arrows, you can get on that line, hold Alt and left click, and it makes this little dot, make a second dot for transition. Now you can adjust this, and it will automatically transition in between the two dots. Okay, that was weird.
I see London, I see.
Okay, that was weird.
I see London, I see France. Your girl in her underpants. She said I'm a better man. Have a nice place to get.
I like it about there. And for this part, I'm just gonna go here, make a keyframe on zoom and a keyframe on position. And then about there, I'm going to zoom out to 0.63. This is what works for me. And then I always make this -347, and boom, solid. And if anybody's wondering how I made this background, I went into, it might have been Paint. I'm thinking it was Photoshop, but it definitely might have been Paint. I just drew a box 3 times and animated it in Resolve. That's it. And the background is just the photo. Oh, so I did do it in Photoshop. This is the Photoshop pattern, like mask tool, pattern stamp tool, whatever it's called. But yeah, all of this is original content. Okay, that was weird. So now I need to find some clips to fill. So for this, I'm just gonna, within this clip in the media pool, I double clicked it and I'm like finding where I want right here. I'll use this. I'm gonna hit I because this is my first point. O to make the out point, and then you'll just grab the video with this icon here and drag it in. And it will just grab those in and out points that you selected. The way I make it fit this, I just click it 0.62 and -347, and boom. So now it should look right.
I see London, I see France.
Cool. Now I just need another clip or two, and now I'm just gonna find where it becomes black, because that top clip turns everything black at a certain point. Cut it there. These little things, for anybody wondering, these let you basically fade to black. So you can grab that, and I'm just gonna put 15 seconds on it, and it'll look like this. And then do the same with the audio. Got that, and yeah, you can do it with audio too. About 15 seconds. Just makes it a little bit smoother. So now that I'm pretty much done with the cut, the next thing I usually do, if you have Studio, you'll be able to do this. If you don't have Studio, stick around, I'll tell you in a second. If you have Studio, I go to my mic clip, I'll just find one, turn on AI voice isolation, and I usually set it to about 50. And then dialogue leveler, set that to optimize moderate levels. And then I'll just click this, Control C, highlight, hold Alt and highlight all of the talking clips. That would be my mic and Discord. And then Alt V to paste attributes. select plugins, and apply. Now all of them have voice isolation and dialogue leveler on. It seems like you can just select them all and click these. You cannot. I've tried it. It doesn't work. I've tried it in every version of Resolve. It doesn't work for some reason. There are some things that you can change them all from here just by selecting them, but for voice isolation and dialogue leveler, also for any of the VST effects you might use, you're going to have to copy them and then paste the attributes onto all of them if you want to do multiple at once. Sorry about that, realized my camera was getting a little dark. If you don't have Studio, I believe, if you don't have Studio, you can go into Effects and then Audio Effects, and then find noise reduction. It's not as good. I'm gonna put it on to show you here. So if you have a piece of the clip that's just noise, you can play it and click learn. There's a way to do it so that you can like learn the noise. I can't get it to work right now, but you can also go auto speech mode. I'm really not sure why it's not doing anything. Anyway, if you don't have Studio, you can always grab noise reduction from audio effects. This is in the free version. You can, if you play your noise while hitting learn, then it will basically learn the noise. And then that means like a clip without audio. So like with just typing or whatever is in the background, and you click learn and play it. You can also choose from profiles up here to see if that just makes a difference. That's always an option if you don't have Studio. I love the voice isolation though. The AI voice isolation is just unmatched in my opinion. I've tried using what's it called, Isotope RX11. I could not get anywhere near the same quality out of it as this. I've had clips before where I'm doing a voiceover and there's like a laundry machine behind me, well, a dryer behind me that's running, and there's the 3D printer behind me that's also running with its loud fans, and the dryer is going blum 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 blum, but the printer is like a loud, high-pitched whine, but none of it shows up. Absolutely none of it shows up in my recordings just because of AI voice isolation. Dialogue leveler just helps to make sure that it's all the right level. Now that that's done, what I'm gonna do is hold Alt again, select all of my speaking clips, right-click, and click Normalize. I set it to YouTube personally. You wanna make sure that you're on Independent. If you're on Relative, it will take all of this and just basically turn up this slider so that it turns up all of their volume at once. Independent means that it's going to make sure that each clip is the same peak volume as the clip next to it. So these are all gonna sound proper and like they're properly mixed, you know? Not like one is super loud, one's super quiet. This will take a little bit if you have a lot of clips, so just be patient. So after you normalize, usually I like to take this down to 12 because it will make it really loud.
But into a rhyme, good.
And that's sitting at about a good level. So now I'm just gonna watch back the entire video and make sure that everything looks good. Alrighty, now once everything's done, go to the deliver page, and I have a preset for this, but I'll show you how I did it. Now, usually I'll go to my folder for my video, and I'll make a folder called Final. And this is where I'll put the thumbnail stuff, as well as the final video, and if I'm doing subtitles, this is where it'll be too. I go with MP4, H.265, NVIDIA. I'll turn on network optimization because it just helps the YouTube upload process a little bit faster. For a lot of these Overwatch videos, I like upscaling it to 2560 by 1440, otherwise known as 1440p or 2K. That basically just does a 2x upscale, makes it look a little bit clearer. It doesn't ruin the image at all, but it does make YouTube show it a lot more clear, mostly because it's using the VP9 codec on YouTube at that point. I'm not going to get into the weeds with it, but basically if you upload anything above 2K instead of 1080p, it will show in a more clear format, and it won't have as much compression and blocky, you know, lossy weirdness. Anyway, just make sure it's 60. If you meant to do 60 and your timeline is not 60, you're gonna have to redo it. You have to make the timeline the right frame rate from the get-go, or it won't work. If you did mess up, you can always make a new timeline. You can uncheck that if you need to and go to format and select your frame rate, or you can like select the frame rate in here. You actually can't select it after you've started. You can make a new timeline and do all that, and then you can just Control A, copy, and then paste all of your clips into the new timeline. But if you did everything right and you're here, then I'm gonna go back to my custom 1440p. Just make sure since it's just gaming footage, it's nothing crazy. I just keep this to best, main. Variable bitrate is fine. Sometimes I'll switch it to constant bitrate and just set this to about 45K for 1440p. I can set the preset to slow just to make sure that it gets everything, gets all the motion and stuff. Sometimes I even do a 2-pass just to make sure it gets all the motion. It's not really super necessary. And then I also like to just set force debayer to highest quality, force sizing to highest quality. And then under audio, I like to click normalization, normalize, and set this to YouTube. Make sure output track 1 is checked, and set this to optimize. Normalize will try and pull everything up hard to a certain point. Optimize seems to kind of just, ease it towards where it should be. And after that, it should be all good. All you have to do is add to render queue. And it's going to ask you if you want to add a higher resolution, basically saying that it's going to upscale this. Just click add. Also, make sure that this is set to single clip. If it's set to individual clips, you won't get one video. You'll get each of these clips as a separate video. Can be useful for some things, but not useful for this. You can also do subtitles inside of Resolve if you wanted to, and then you can export that here as a separate file. SRT is recommended if you're doing it for YouTube. The way that you actually do that, on the edit page, you right click here and hit add subtitle track, and then you'll just right click and hit add subtitle. You can add whatever subtitle, make it however long, and then add another one, boom. Yeah, I'm not going to do subtitles for this video, and generally I'll use subtitle edit for that anyway. I highly recommend this software. It's very nice because you can put a video in here and then click this and it'll give you the waveform of all of the audio, and then you can just go through, click and drag. I can make another video on this if y'all want, but it makes it much easier to do subtitles after the fact. It's easier than doing it in Resolve, in my opinion. If you want to be lazy about it, you could go up to Timeline, go to AI Tools, and then create subtitles from audio. Sometimes this works. A lot of times it has some weirdness, so I don't really like doing it. The other thing is, if you want to upload straight to YouTube, you can do that here. I recommend if you do upload directly to YouTube from Resolve, up here in the top right, click these 3 dots and click Review Before Upload. This means that after your video is done rendering, it will stop and say waiting for upload. Then you can right click and hit open file location and watch your video to make sure it's all good. Make sure the file came out right, make sure nothing weird happened. Once that's done, then you can right click this and you can click upload to YouTube. Otherwise, I've had a lot of times where it will just, finish rendering, upload it, I watch it on YouTube, something weird happened. Then I gotta go back, re-render it, then it's on YouTube again, and then I gotta watch it on YouTube again. Maybe something weird happened again. You never know what's gonna happen, so you always wanna watch it before you put it on YouTube. But once you're at this point, all you gotta do is click render all and wait. If you don't have Studio, it will not have hardware acceleration for encoding and all that. So basically you won't be utilizing your full GPU resources if you don't have Studio. That's okay. I'm just letting you know that if you're wondering why it's not going very fast or it's not using hardware acceleration, it's because it's the free version. Now, if you do have Studio and you're noticing that you're not getting hardware acceleration, you'll want to go up to the top left and click DaVinci Resolve, and then click Preferences. Under Decode Options, make sure you select use Decode H.264, H.265 using hardware acceleration, and select NVIDIA. Also, under Memory and GPU, make sure that it's selecting the correct GPU, or you can select Auto, doesn't really matter. Make sure it's set to the right thing for you. It's CUDA in the case of NVIDIA GPUs. And yeah, that should get it to work. Also, make sure you set use GPU for R3D, decompression, and debayer. That should speed up things significantly. Now once you're done, I always like to right click on this, open file location, and just watch it back. See, I always catch something. Gotta fix that end part. Forgot to match the zoom for that. The good thing is, now that I've watched it all, and I know that that's the only thing that's wrong with it, I can just hit render all and hit render to re-render the same job. If you have multiple jobs queued up like this, if you click here, it'll say render all, and then you can render everything. Very useful for if you're doing shorts. When I do shorts, I'll do shorts each on a different timeline, and then I'll just go through and add each timeline to this and hit render all. But if you're just doing one like this, make sure you click it and then render one. Also, don't get scared if these settings don't match what you wanted at all. Just completely ignore this panel once you click render, because it just goes to random stuff. Also, if you're wondering why it says 2 out of 2 jobs or 1 out of 2 jobs when you're only rendering one thing, that first pass that it's doing is just analyzing the audio and optimizing it. So if you were to go to audio and turn off the YouTube normalization thing at the end, it would just be one job. It doesn't take that long. It usually goes at like 200 FPS, so I just let it do it. Now that it's done, I'm just gonna open file location again and just flip through it just to make sure it's all good. And the part that I fixed all looks good. And that's just about it. If you want to see more content like this, more editing stuff, maybe more cinematography style stuff, let me know down in the comments and I can keep doing these kind of videos. I could even make another channel that's just like camera stuff, editing, that kind of stuff. Other than that, I hope you have a great day and good luck on your games. Peace.